Karl, are we really doing an entire video on this subject?
Yes, we are. We're going to make an entire video about the size of Superman's wanger. As we'll no doubt discuss in a later video on this channel, one of the hardest parts about playing Superman on screen is the ungodly amount of effort you have to put in to physically portray the Man of Steel on screen to make yourself look even remotely like what he does in the comics. Apparently though, there's an altogether more hilarious aspect to portraying the Man of Steel that people seldom talk about. The fact that, when you first put on that Superman costume, there's going to be an argument on set about exactly how big your dick should look when you're wearing it.
Karl, this can't be something people actually argue about.
No, Brad, it really is. And I'm so happy that I get to share this story with you and the audience at home today. Every single time they have a live action project that features Superman, in some way, there will invariably be an argument on set between the director or the costume designer or whatever about how big Superman's dick should be.
Why his dick?
Because Superman wears a skin-tight, form-fitting costume that leaves very little to the imagination, which means that the person designing that costume will invariably have to have a conversation with the director or producer or whoever the fuck can make that decision about how they're going to hide the fact the actor wearing the costume's dick is being strangled by Lycra. Usually the solution to this problem is found in the form of a codpiece which is sewn into the costume. However, this often leads to another argument, mainly, how big should this codpiece be?
I understand there may have been a discussion about having a codpiece,
Yes.
but surely the size of it isn't really that relevant.
Yeah, you'd think that size wouldn't matter, but apparently if you are making a Superman movie or one of my ex-girlfriends, it does. And for example, when they were making the 1978 Superman movie signed Christopher Reeve, there was a raging back and forth argument between the costume designer and the producers about how big the codpiece, and by extension, Superman's dong, should be.
What did you have in mind?
Apparently the producers were on the side of make Superman's dick fucking ginormous. Give Superman this ginormous, throbbing, world-destroying dong. And the costume designer was all like, nah, let's give him a moderately sized, normal penis. And then the producer shot back, but he's Superman. It stands to reason he'd have a super-sized penis. This is an actual argument people had on the set of a movie about Superman. It's like but this apparently continued for fucking ages, and the producers were insistent that Superman had to have a ginormo dong. They were like, Superman's dong needs to be just like the most ultimo dong we've ever seen. This thing needs to be able to slap birds out of the sky when he turns too quickly. This thing needs to cause considerable drag on re-entry when he's flying through the air. And the costume designer was like, no. We can't do that. This is a movie for children. They're like, no, but give him a big dong though.
To be honest, the costume designer has got a point.
Yes, even if you want to argue that Superman has a big old super penis, it would be incredibly distracting if the actor playing him was walking around with this giant, humongous dick bulge. Because we all know dick bulges have their own gravitational pull. Big dick energy, if you will. And like the larger the dick bulge, the more gravitational pull they have. However, instead of attracting matter, what they do attract is the eye line.
This is starting to sound like the start of a really shitty science lesson.
No, well I think you mean, Brad, the start of the best fucking science lesson you've ever had. And you know what? We're going to turn this into a science lesson. So use this green screen hammer to put me in a classroom and put me in front of a fucking whiteboard and give me something to point at the whiteboard with. You got
how's a huge pencil?
Oh yeah, give me a huge pencil. Oh wow, that is a big, huge pencil. Wow, okay, right. So hi there class, my name is Professor Smallwood and I'm here to talk to you today about big dick energy. Now big dick energy is a nebulous concept in science that isn't fully understood. We do however know a few things about it I'm going to discuss today. For example, consider this picture of Superman right here. You may notice that Superman has a moderate amount of big dick energy located mostly around this part of the body. I hope you're taking notes at home. However, if you increase the amount of big dick energy Superman possesses, like so, you'll notice that your eyes now become more drawn to this particular area of the body. Now, scientists aren't really sure why this is the case, but we do know that the only way to counteract this effect is with immense amounts of what we call swag. Unfortunately, Superman don't laugh back at the class, Superman does not possess enough levels of swag to counteract the effect, and therefore the amount of big dick energy he can contain is a finite amount. However, if we refer to subject 2, Mr. David Bowie in the film Labyrinth, you'll notice that he possesses far more big dick energy than Superman could ever hope to possess, because it's counteracted by the immeasurable amounts of nuclear swag emanating from David fucking Bowie himself. Oh, we have a question at the back of the class. Yes?
Is this going to be in the finals?
Yes. Yes, it is. You have no idea how many fucking takes that took. Because originally, we weren't supposed to talk about that, but Brad said to me, "Oh, Karl, wouldn't it be really funny if you just pretended to be a teacher in a class talking about big dick energy?" And I went, fuck it, and we workshopped that idea in 5 minutes. Moving back to Superman, in the end, sense prevailed, and the producers and the costume designer reached a compromise. And that compromise was that Superman would possess a moderately sized dick bulge that wasn't so big that it would steal the show, but wasn't so small that people at home would feel sorry for Lois Lane.
I assume then that the rest of your bodily functions are normal?
Do you know what my favourite part about this compromise is?
What?
The codpiece they settled on was made of metal. So Superman in that film is literally the Man of Steel, because he's walking around with this steel-plated fucking dong. And apparently the actress playing Lois Lane in between takes will just flick it to hear like the distinctive metal thud it made.
And some days Christopher come out and he'd be out to here, which would make me go ding, 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 because they were all made of metal. And Christopher goes, stop it, kidder, stop it.
Amazingly though, this isn't the only time this has happened. It's noted that when they brought in Brandon Routh for the film Superman Return, the argument about how big his dick should be started all over again.
Oh, come on.
That's probably what he said. It's like, come on, can you imagine being an actor and you stood there, you're getting fitted for your costume, and then the costume designer comes up and goes, I don't think his dick looks big enough. Make it bigger. Then again though, maybe it was the exact opposite, and maybe the argument was, because if people don't know, there was a rumour floating around at the time Superman Returns was released, that they CGI'd Superman's dick to make it smaller, because Brandon Routh, the actor, had a penis that was too large. And I don't know which version of events is true. All I know is that there was a raging argument, again, on set, about how big the codpiece on Superman's costume should be. My favourite part about this story, though, is that Brandon Routh obviously had to try on all these different codpieces, and I'd like to imagine he did the typical man thing of overestimating the size of his penis and walked straight over to the biggest one to try that on. Reminds me a lot of what happens with NASA when they try to design spacesuits. So people don't know, if you're a man and you're wearing a spacesuit, they have to put this weird contraption over the end of your dick so you don't piss inside the suit. And the problem was when NASA was asking astronauts, okay, what size would you like for, like, you know, the dick sock to wear so you don't piss yourself inside the suit? They all said large. So what NASA did is they changed the size from large to mega to humongous or something like that to stop men, because no one would admit they needed a small. I'm just imagining that when people are playing Superman. What codpiece do you need? Well, obviously the super-sized one. It starts at super-sized and goes up to colossal, mega, ultra-sized.
Are you implying it was never an argument between the producers and the costume designer? It was the costume designer and the actor.
Just the actor refuses to admit that their penis is average size. Like, no, I have a super-sized dong. And they just go, look, mate, you're not Willem Dafoe.
I knew he was going to come up.
Because you know what?
I knew he was coming.
Can you hear it, Brad? Can you hear that in the distance? Can you hear the dong of Defoe swaggering towards this conversation with earned confidence? Because people don't know, Willem Dafoe has a big old wanger. He has a ginormous fucking penis. And apparently, they have to bring in stunt actors whenever he has to be naked on set because his penis is so, like, unimaginably large that it ruins the drama of some scenes. So, I think it was like Antichrist or something like that. They had to bring a stunt actor in, and I believe an exact quote is from the director, like, his penis was distractingly huge. I've just had a thought, Brad, because we know for a fact that Willem Dafoe has a big old honking dong, and he's been in a movie where he had to wear a superhero costume, we can now actually see if the Superman codpiece is a reasonable size or not. If you bring up Willem Dafoe in the Green Goblin costume and zoom in on the crotch, we can see, apparently that codpiece is enough to contain the dong of Dafoe, which, according to very reputable sources, is unimaginably large. Now let's just compare that. I'll put that right next to various dick bulges from other superhero movies like Superman, and at the end put David Bowie's. Because I don't know what the answer is to this. I want to know which one's biggest. Because if we know that Willem Dafoe's got his big old giant honking dong, and his codpiece is smaller than the one that David Bowie was wearing, that means David Bowie has got an even bigger penis than that. We're going to figure this out today, unequivocally, for a fact, because we can use Willem Dafoe's big old honking dong as the baseline. And we know that should be at the top. We can get like an actual graph up on this shit. So I'm going to move now, Brad. You're going to make a graph for me. And I want to know where they all fall. So we've probably gone a little off track, so I'd like to reiterate the main thrust of this video. And that is that every single time you watch a piece of live action media starring Superman, there was almost certainly an argument offset about how big that version of Superman's dick should be. So I think, Brad, I'm all penised out today. So instead of talking more about that, let's just talk more about Superman in general. What's your favourite version of Superman?
Dean Cain.
Dean Cain. That's a strong one. Is that the Lois and Clark Superman? Oh man, that's strong. But do you know what mine is?
What?
Mine's Justice League Unlimited Superman. Because he's the one where like him and Batman actually have the relationship you want those characters to have, where they're friends, but Batman won't admit it. It's like whenever Superman talks to Batman, you can tell that Batman's trying not to smile whenever Superman cracks a joke, and it's fucking brilliant. I think my favourite part about that characterisation of Superman is that they portray him as this big dumb idiot. And I believe they have a conversation in it where someone asks him, Superman, why do you always fly headlong into all the danger we face and just get your ass kicked? He says, because I'm invincible, so it doesn't matter if I get hit. It does matter if you guys get hit, so I fly in there. I take that first hit so we know how hard that bad guy can hit. And I love that idea where Superman's like, okay, I'm invincible, fuck it, I'm just going to fly in and let's headbutt everything to death. Realistically, every single problem in that show should be solved by Superman throwing it into the sun. That's what everything should be, but like they get around that by saying, no, Superman's just stupid, so he always gets his ass knocked down because he doesn't realise that just punching things doesn't always work. And that's great, because that gives all the other heroes a chance to like show they can do something too. And then you compare it to like the Justice League movie where it ends with Superman literally just punching the bad guy once and killing him. It's like, oh, we've got a world without Superman, so we need to figure out a way where we can do things without Superman, and then Superman comes in at the end of the day and just defeats everyone.